My parents abandoned me at a fire station as an infant. Now they're demanding I pay for their retirement because I owe them for life. Your support keeps this story alive. Please subscribe, and while you're here, tell us where you're watching from. It always warms my heart. The doorbell rang at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I remember because I was reviewing quarterly reports for my marketing firm, the numbers glowing on my laptop screen. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole, I saw two strangers, a man and woman in their late 50s, dressed in worn clothes that had seen better days. The woman clutched a faded purse against her chest like a shield. "Can I help you?" I asked through the door, my hand hovering near my phone. "Carolyn," the woman's voice cracked. "Carolyn Denise Lawson?" My full name. My stomach dropped. Nobody used my middle name except my adoptive parents, and they'd been gone for 3 years. "Who are you?" "Baby, it's us. Your mama and daddy. Rochelle and Arturo Mosley." The names meant nothing to me, just sounds in the night air. But then she said something that made my blood run cold. "We left you at station 1230 2 years ago. We've been looking for you ever since." I stood frozen, my reflection distorted in the peephole glass. Station 12. The fire station on Garrett Avenue, where I was found wrapped in a yellow blanket on January 19, 1993. The story my real parents, Grace and William Lawson, had told me with tears and love, explaining how they'd adopted me at 6 months old. How I was wanted, chosen, and now these people were claiming they'd been looking for me? My hands trembled as I unlocked the deadbolt. I needed answers. I needed to know why. But I wasn't prepared for what would come next. They sat on my cream-colored sofa looking out of place like actors in the wrong scene. Arturo had calloused hands that he kept wringing together. Rochelle's eyes darted around my living room, taking in the modern furniture, the abstract art on the walls, the life I'd built. "We was just kids ourselves," Rochelle started, her voice thin and rehearsed. 17 and 18. No money, no family support. Arturo's mama kicked him out, and my daddy... She paused for effect. "He wasn't a good man, Carolyn. We couldn't bring no baby into that. So you left me at a fire station." The words tasted bitter. "Safe haven law," Arturo interjected. "We made sure you'd be found. Made sure you'd be safe. That yellow blanket was my grandmother's, the only valuable thing we had. We wanted you to have something from us." I thought of that blanket, tucked away in a memory box in my closet. Grace had saved it for me, cleaned and preserved. "And in 32 years, you never tried to find me?" Rochelle's face crumpled. "We tried, baby. But them adoption records are sealed tight. We didn't have money for no lawyers or private investigators. We've been working minimum wage jobs our whole lives, just scraping by." Her hand reached for mine. I pulled away. "But last year I found this DNA ancestry website. Uploaded our information. And there you were, a match. Our miracle." Something felt wrong. The timeline, the convenient discovery, the way they kept glancing at each other when they thought I wasn't looking. But I needed proof, not suspicion. "I'll need to verify this," I said carefully. "DNA test. Official documentation." Arturo nodded too quickly. Of course. Whatever you need, baby girl." Dr. Yolanda Martinez handed me the manila envelope with practiced sympathy. She'd been my physician for 5 years, and I'd asked her to oversee the paternity test personally. "The results are conclusive, Carolyn. Arturo and Rochelle Mosley are your biological parents. 99.98% probability." I stared at the numbers, the genetic markers, the undeniable science. Part of me had hoped it was all an elaborate scam. That would have been easier to dismiss, to close the door on and move forward. But this was real. "Thank you, Dr. Martinez." My voice sounded distant, like I was underwater. "How are you processing this?" she asked gently, sitting across from me in her office that smelled of lavender and medical antiseptic. "I don't know yet." I folded the papers carefully, creasing each edge with precision. My real parents, Grace and William, they gave me everything. Love, stability, education. They showed up to every school play, helped me through college, supported my business dreams. These people, they're strangers who happen to share my DNA. "DNA doesn't make a family," Dr. Martinez said. "Love does. You don't owe anyone anything just because of biology." I wish I'd listened to her then. Really listened. Instead, I texted Rochelle. "Test confirmed. Let's meet for coffee tomorrow." Her response came in seconds. "Thank you, baby. God is good. See you at 10". The heart emoji felt presumptuous. But I pushed down my irritation. They were my birth parents. Didn't I owe them at least a chance? Didn't I owe them something for giving me life, even if they'd given me away? That thought, that insidious sense of obligation, was the crack in my armor they'd been waiting for. The Sunbright Cafe on Morrison Street was neutral territory, all exposed brick and hipster artwork. Rochelle arrived wearing what must have been her best outfit, a floral dress that didn't quite fit right and scuffed heels. Arturo wore a button-up shirt with a frayed collar. They looked nervous, hopeful, desperate. "Thank you for meeting us," Rochelle said, gripping her coffee cup with both hands. She'd ordered the cheapest item on the menu, a small drip coffee, black. Arturo got nothing, claiming he wasn't thirsty. The observation made me feel guilty and resentful in equal measure. "I have questions," I said, pulling out the notebook I'd prepared. 32 years is a long time. I need to understand what happened. For the next hour, they painted a picture of hardship I couldn't verify but couldn't dismiss. Rochelle's abusive father. Arturo's mother's alcoholism. Their teenage desperation. They'd spent years in poverty, working factory jobs and cleaning offices, always one emergency away from homelessness. They'd wanted children after me but couldn't. Medical complications from Rochelle's difficult pregnancy with me. "You were our only baby," Rochelle whispered, tears tracking through her foundation. "And we gave you up. That guilt, it ate us alive, Carolyn. Every January 19th we'd wonder where you were. If you were happy. If you hated us." "I didn't know you existed to hate you," I said quietly. "Grace and William were my parents. They died in a car accident 3 years ago. I grieved them. I still grieve them." Arturo's jaw tightened. "We're sorry for your loss. But we're still here. We're still your parents too." "Are you?" The question hung between us like smoke. "What do you want from me? Really?" They exchanged that look again, the one I was learning to recognize. Calculation disguised as emotion. "Just a relationship," Rochelle said. "A chance to know our daughter. Is that so wrong?" 3 weeks of careful meetings followed. Dinners at modest restaurants where they always ordered the special. Walks in the park where Rochelle talked about her medical issues. Diabetes, high blood pressure, a bad knee that needed surgery she couldn't afford. Arturo mentioned his construction accident from 10 years ago, the chronic back pain, the disability payments that barely covered rent. They were setting the stage. I felt it but couldn't name it yet. My best friend Nicole saw it clearly. "Girl, they're building up to something," she said over wine at my place. We'd been friends since college and she had a bullshit detector that never failed. "Every story is about how broke they are, how sick they are. They're not asking about your life. They're not asking about Grace and William. They're making you feel guilty. Maybe they're just sharing their reality," I countered, but my voice lacked conviction. "When's the last time they asked about your marketing firm? Your hobbies? Your favorite anything?" Nicole counted on her fingers. 0 times, Carolyn. This is a con. I wanted to disagree, but that night I lay awake replaying every conversation. He was right. They never asked about me. Only told me about them, their struggles, their needs, their suffering. Every interaction was a transaction disguised as bonding. The ask came on a Sunday. Arturo called, his voice tight with urgency. Carolyn, baby, we got a situation. Our landlord's selling the building. We got 60 days to find a new place, but we ain't got first and last month's rent saved up. We're looking at being homeless. My chest constricted. How much do you need? $4,000. I know it's a lot, but I'll transfer it tomorrow. The words came automatically, trained by Grace and William to help family in need. But were these people really family? Arturo's relief was audible. Thank you, baby girl. Thank you. We'll pay you back, I promise. They never would. And that was just the beginning. The rent money disappeared into a void. When I asked for their new address 6 weeks later, Rochelle got defensive. We're still looking for the right place. The market's crazy right now. We're staying with Arturo's cousin in the meantime. Red flag. But I ignored it, pushing down the suspicion with forced optimism. They were my birth parents. They needed help. Wasn't this what family did? 2 months later, Carolyn, Arturo got laid off. We need help with groceries. Just $500 to get us through. I sent it. 3 weeks after that. My medications are so expensive. Insurance denied coverage. Can you spare $700? I sent it. Then utilities. Car repairs. Medical bills. Each request came with elaborate explanations and tears and promises to repay me when things turn around. The amounts grew larger. My bank account grew smaller. And the relationship I thought we were building? It was entirely transactional. Nicole confronted me at my office, closing the door behind her with controlled fury. I just watched you transfer $1,500 to Rochelle. Carolyn, you've given them over $12,000 in 4 months. This is financial abuse. They're struggling. They're scamming you. Her voice rose, then softened. Babe, I love you. So I'm going to say this clearly. They found you because you're successful. They researched you online, so your company, your house, your life, and they targeted you. This isn't about reconciliation. It's about money. You don't know that. Then prove me wrong. Tell them no next time. Just once. Tell them you can't help and see what happens to all that parent-child bonding they keep talking about. I couldn't. Because deep down I knew she was right. And I was terrified of what I'd discover if I tested her theory. The meeting was scheduled for dinner at my house. The first time they'd been back since that initial night. Rochelle had insisted it was important, that they needed to discuss our future as a family. I'd spent the afternoon cooking my mother Grace's famous pot roast recipe, trying to channel her wisdom and strength. They arrived on time, Arturo carrying a gas station bouquet that cost maybe $8. The gesture felt like an insult disguised as thoughtfulness. We ate with forced small talk, the tension thick enough to cut. Finally, over store-bought pound cake, Rochelle cleared her throat. Carolyn, we need to talk about something serious. Arturo and I are getting older. I'm 54, he's 55. We got no retirement savings, no pension, nothing but Social Security coming in a few years. And that ain't enough to live on. My fork paused halfway to my mouth. Hey. So you're worried about your financial future? We've been thinking, Arturo said, his eyes not quite meeting mine. You're doing real well for yourself. Nice house, successful business, no kids to support. And you're our daughter. Our only child. It's only right that you help us with our retirement. The room tilted. Help you how? Rochelle leaned forward, her expression earnest but her eyes calculating. We need about $3,000 a month to live comfortable. Cover rent, food, medications, utilities. Maybe a little extra for emergencies. You could set up a monthly transfer, make it automatic. That way we wouldn't have to keep asking and you wouldn't have to worry about us struggling. $3,000. Every month. For the rest of their lives. That's $36,000 a year, I said slowly, my mind racing through the mathematics of their audacity. You want me to give you $36,000 annually because we share DNA? Arturo's face hardened. Because you owe us. We gave you life, Carolyn. And there was the truth beneath the tears and sob stories. I owe you. My voice came out eerily calm, the kind of calm that precedes storms. Explain that to me, Arturo. Break down exactly how I owe you for abandoning me as an infant. Rochelle's hand flew to her chest, her favorite dramatic gesture. We didn't abandon you. We used the safe haven law. We made sure you'd be taken care of. Do you know how hard that decision was? How it tore us apart? Not hard enough to try to get me back. Not hard enough to leave a letter. Not hard enough to give me any information about my medical history, my heritage, anything that might help me know who I was. I stood, needing the physical advantage of height. You left me with nothing but a blanket, and you think that means I owe you retirement? We gave you life. Arturo slammed his hand on my dining table, making the dishes rattle. The mask was slipping now, revealing the entitlement beneath. You wouldn't exist without us. Everything you got, all this, he gestured around my home, you got because we gave you a chance by giving you up. To good people who could raise you right. Grace and William Lawson raised me right. They fed me, clothed me, loved me, put me through college, supported my dreams. They showed up. Every day. For 32 years until they died. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. You showed up 4 months ago with your hand out. That's not parenthood. That's extortion. Rochelle's tears dried up instantly, her face twisting with anger. Extortion? We're family. You're supposed to take care of your parents. It's in the Bible. Honor thy father and mother. You're not my parents. You're people who had sex 33 years ago and produced a baby you didn't want to raise. That's biology, not family. The silence that followed was arctic. Arturo stood slowly, his face flushed. So that's how it is. You too good for us now? Too rich and successful to help your own blood? I said no. For the first time in 4 months, I clearly, firmly told them I would not be funding their retirement. They left my house in theatrical fury, Rochelle sobbing about ungrateful children, Arturo muttering about uppity daughters who forgot where they came from. Thought it was over. I was wrong. 2 days later my phone started blowing up. Text messages from former high school classmates I hadn't spoken to in years. Notifications from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My hands shook as I opened the first one. A post from Rochelle's account, public for the world to see. Heartbroken after searching for our daughter for 32 years, we finally found her. We were so happy. But now she's abandoned us, refusing to help her elderly parents who gave her life. We're facing homelessness while she lives in luxury. All we asked for was help with basic living expenses. Please share. Maybe public pressure will make her remember that family takes care of family. Hashtag ungrateful, hashtag abandoned parents, hashtag heartbroken. The post had 487 shares. 1,200 comments. My business page was being flooded with 1-star reviews from strangers calling me heartless, selfish, cruel. My office voicemail filled with messages from people I'd never met, calling me every name imaginable. Nicole found me sobbing in my office, surrounded by printouts of the comments. Okay, she said, her voice deadly calm. Now we fight back. But we do it smart. She helped me craft a response. Measured, factual, without stooping to their level. I posted my side. the abandonment, the 4 months of financial requests totaling over $15,000, the demand for lifetime support, all documented with screenshots of our text conversations. I included the DNA test results proving our relationship and a timeline showing they'd never attempted contact until they'd found me online and researched my financial success. "This isn't about family," I wrote. "It's about exploitation. I owe nothing to people who gave me away and returned only when they realized I had money." The tide shifted. Slowly at first, then rapidly as people read both sides and recognize the manipulation pattern. Attorney James Washington sat across from me in his downtown office, reviewing the evidence I'd compiled. 6 months of text messages, bank transfers, social media posts, voicemails. A comprehensive record of Rochelle and Arturo's campaign of financial exploitation and harassment. "This is textbook elder abuse in reverse," he said, pushing his glasses up his nose. "Usually we see parents abusing children financially, but they're using the parent-child relationship to manipulate you. The social media defamation is particularly egregious. Can we make them stop?" My voice was steady now, hardened by weeks of public harassment and private anguish. The Facebook post had been just the beginning. They'd found my business clients and sent them messages questioning my character. They'd shown up at my office 3 times, causing scenes in the lobby. "We can and we will." James pulled out a legal pad. "First, a cease and desist letter. If they contact you again, we file for a restraining order. Second, we can pursue defamation charges for the social media posts. You've documented financial harm to your business. Third, we send cease and desist letters to everyone they've contacted on your behalf." "What about the money they owe me?" James's expression was sympathetic but realistic. "You can sue for repayment, but collection will be difficult if they have no assets. Sometimes the win is making them go away, not getting money back. You need to decide what matters more, justice or peace." I thought of Grace and William, who taught me that family was about love and support, not obligation and guilt. I want them out of my life permanently, whatever that takes. "Then let's make that happen." He began drafting the letter that would end this nightmare, or so I thought. I didn't know that Rochelle and Arturo had one more card to play, and it was the cruelest one yet. The young man at my office door looked like Arturo. Same deep-set eyes, same stubborn jaw. But he couldn't be more than 25, wearing a FedEx uniform with a name tag that read, Deontay. "Carolyn Lawson?" he asked nervously. I got a delivery for you. But also..." He glanced around the empty hallway. "I need to talk to you. I'm your brother." My world stopped. "What?" "Deontay Mosley. I'm 24. Rochelle and Arturo. They're my parents too. They kept me." His eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know about you until this Facebook thing blew up. I saw the posts, saw what they were doing, and I had to meet you. To tell you I'm sorry. To tell you the truth." We moved to a conference room. I texted Nicole, "Emergency. Come to the office now." Then I looked at this young man who carried my DNA, my abandonment, and apparently my parents' darkest secrets. "Tell me everything," I said. Deontay's story shattered me. He was born 3 years after me, not medically impossible as Rochelle had claimed. They'd kept him, raised him in poverty, but raised him nonetheless. He'd watched them struggle with addiction. Alcohol for Arturo, prescription pills for Rochelle. He'd endured their chaos, their neglect, their failures. But they'd never given him away. "I asked my mom once why they kept me and not you," Deontay said quietly. "She got drunk and told me the truth. You were born in January, cold, hard times. I was born in July when Arturo had a good job. They thought they could handle a baby in summer. By the time they realized they couldn't, I was already 6 months old and they were too attached. So I was disposable. And you weren't. The pain in my chest was physical, sharp, and unrelenting. I think they resented me for not being easy to give up like you were, Deontay said. They never let me forget how much I cost them. And now they want to use you like an ATM? No, that's not right. I had to warn you, they're planning something worse. The certified letter arrived on a Monday. Notice of intent to sue for elder support and filial responsibility. Rochelle and Arturo were suing me, citing state laws that required adult children to financially support indigent parents. James Washington had warned me this might come, but seeing it in print made it real and terrifying. Only 29 states have filial responsibility laws, and enforcement is rare, James explained during our emergency meeting. But they found a lawyer willing to argue it. This is a Hail Mary play. They're hoping you'll settle to avoid the publicity. I won't. My voice was iron. We go to court. We show the judge exactly who they are. Nicole squeezed my hand. You sure about this? It's going to get ugly. It's already ugly. Now we end it. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks later. In that time I gathered evidence like ammunition. I hired a private investigator who uncovered the truth about the $4,000 rent money spent at a casino in Atlantic City, verified by surveillance footage. The medical bills. Exaggerated or fabricated. Rochelle's diabetes was real but managed. Her emergency medications were readily available at affordable prices through prescription assistance programs they'd never applied for. I found the cousin Arturo claimed they were staying with, a man who'd cut them off 2 years ago for stealing from him. I documented 15 separate people they'd scammed over the past decade with similar sob stories. I even found a half-sister in Chicago they'd abandoned at a hospital 28 years ago. Another safe haven surrender they'd lied about when they told me I was their only child. The pattern was clear. Rochelle and Arturo Mosley were professional victims, serial manipulators who used biological connection as a weapon. And I was just their latest mark. On the day of the hearing, I walked into that courtroom with my head high, flanked by James Washington and surrounded by evidence that would expose them completely. Deontay sat in the gallery, having agreed to testify against his own parents if needed. The truth was about to come out, all of it, and there would be no more tears or manipulation to hide behind. Judge Marianne Foster reviewed the evidence with increasing displeasure. Bank records, screenshots, investigator reports, testimony from their previous victims. When she finally looked up, her expression was steel. This court finds no merit whatsoever in the plaintiff's claim, she said, her voice cutting through the courtroom. The evidence shows a clear pattern of manipulation and exploitation. The filial responsibility statute requires adult children to support parents who provided for them during childhood. These plaintiffs not only failed to provide care, they voluntarily surrendered their parental rights through safe haven laws. They have no standing to demand support now. Rochelle started to cry. Judge Foster silenced her with a look. Furthermore, I'm granting the defendant's request for a permanent restraining order. The plaintiffs are prohibited from contacting Ms. Lawson directly or indirectly, from posting about her on social media, and from interfering with her business. Violation will result in criminal contempt charges. The gavel struck like lightning. Case dismissed. I walked out of that courthouse into brilliant sunshine. Nicole hugged me, James shook my hand, and Deontay, my brother, my unexpected ally, stood awkwardly to the side until I pulled him into an embrace. You got a place to stay? I asked him. Yeah, I got my own apartment. Been working 2 jobs to stay away from them. He smiled, sad but genuine. But maybe we could grab coffee sometime? Like actual siblings getting to know each other, not their circus. I'd like that. That night I pulled out the yellow blanket, the one item connecting me to my past. I held it for a moment, remembering everything. Then I folded it carefully and placed it in a donation box. Some legacies deserve to be released. Grace and William Lawson taught me that family is built on love, not biology. They showed me every day what real parents do. They show up, they sacrifice, they support without demanding repayment. The people who abandoned me taught me something too. I owe nothing to those who give nothing but guilt. I'm Carolyn Denise Lawson, daughter of Grace and William, sister to Deontay, owner of my own successful business and my own beautiful life. And I'm finally completely free.